ever made a mistake so big that you felt like your entire life was over? I'm not talking about not just embarrassed, not awkward. I mean the kind of shame that makes you want to disappear, the kind that tells you your story is finished, and the moment shame almost ended our lives. Welcome to In Bed with Christy Love. This podcast is where we talk about identity, shame, faith, sex, healing, and the messy journey of living life by design. I'm your host, Christy Love. I'm a pastor, porn star, comedian, and living proof that your mess doesn't disqualify you from living your best life. So get comfortable, lovers, because you're never alone in this bed. Welcome to In Bed with Christy Love. Are you guys ready for another episode? Because I know I am. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever made a mistake so big that you felt like your entire life was over? Yeah, I'm not talking about not just embarrassed, not awkward. I mean the kind of shame that makes you want to disappear, the kind that tells you your story is finished. Because can I tell you today, I want to talk about shame. My shame, my husband's shame, and the moment shame almost ended our lives, literally. See, one morning around 4 a.m, I woke up to a text from my husband. And I remember that morning, I looked at that text just like woke me up, and I read it, and it was like a goodbye text. And immediately I was so scared because at that moment I looked over, I didn't see my husband next to me. I just had the 2 cats with me, and then I had Tofu with me. And I just remember I just grabbed my robe and I ran downstairs, and Tofu's running right in front of me, right? Because I'm pretty sure he knew I had so much panic in my heart. And I remember I just ran outside where our balcony is like this huge balcony, and we were the penthouse, right? We were the highest level in our apartment building in San Diego. And I just remember opening the door, and I see Steven at the edge of the balcony, and he's about to jump. Oh my God. So instantly, all I could remember was I just had so much fear. Now, I'm going to come back to that moment in a little bit, because the truth is, that moment didn't start that morning. Moments like that build slowly, layer by layer, okay? And my story with shame started a long time before that. It started in a small town in Northern California called Yuba City. Oh, dang. And let me tell you, if you've never been to Yuba City, imagine a place where everybody knows everybody, okay? You cannot even go to Walmart without running into your neighbor. Someone from church, someone you went to school with, or maybe someone who knows your parents. In that town, everybody knew everyone. Now, let's explain what kind of town it was. It was a town that was mostly filled with agriculture. There were peach orchards. There were walnut farms. Oh man, I remember I lived across a peach orchard, and my mom and I would just take them from the ground, because if you took them from the tree, that's considered stealing. But if the fruit has already fallen from the ground, then guess what? It's all for grabs, okay? So that was, so my mom and I would just go and grab, the fallen peaches, take it home, and they were still, can I say, still pretty damn good. Okay. I mean, just because they fell off the tree doesn't mean they're bad. They're just a little bit extra sweet and ripe. Nothing wrong with that. Anyways, so the town is like, weird things about the town is that there were like roosters and chickens everywhere. It was so weird, okay? You could probably be in the highway and, or in a busy street, and then there's like these roosters and these chickens just walking around like, no big deal. Hey, I have the right of way. I'm like, no fucker. We have the right of way. Now go. Right? They're everywhere in the dang town. It kind of reminds me of India, okay? And if you've never been to India, but if you have been, you will understand what I'm talking about. So India is so packed, crowded. I mean, crowded, like bumper to bumper of cars. And it's so trafficky. And in the middle of the traffic, there's a damn cow. Moo! I'm like, shoot. Excuse me, do you not see the traffic? Come on. I'm like, can we please put the cows in a nice, safe spot instead of in the middle of the street where there's bumper to bumper traffic? Yeah. So they actually call Yuba City Little India because there is a lot of Punjabis there. And, you know what? To think about it, I guess that's the reason why I love India so much, because I grew up in Little India. If you don't know, I do very much love India. I've been there 2 times. Anyways, that's off topic. We're not talking about that. Sorry about that. You're like, what the heck? Back to describing my town, Yuba City, where all the roosters would just sit there and wander around in the middle of traffic. Oh man, it's so true. I mean, I remember going to Winco, and if you don't know what Winco is, it's like a grocery store. There's roosters and chickens everywhere. I'm like, please move out of the way. But anyways, I'm done with talking about the chickens. All right. So now it just sounds so funny just talking about it. But let me tell you, when you are growing up, trying to figure out who you are in a small town, which can feel very, very small, especially when you feel very different. So, if you do not know, I am half Korean and white, and I am growing up in this small town called Yuba City. It was mostly Caucasian people. So if you were ethnic, you kind of stood out that you were ethnic. And I remember one day walking home from school, and I'm walking with my heavy backpack, and all of a sudden I hear someone in the car screaming a racial slur at me. And at that moment, it actually startled me. I'm like, what the heck? What is that? But the thing that shocked me the most, can I say this, wasn't the word. It was actually the feeling I had after. I felt so embarrassed. I felt embarrassed for the first time of being Asian. Now think about that for a moment. A child feeling embarrassed for her identity. You know what? That's what shame does. Shame convinces you that something about you is wrong. Kids sometimes call me names like gook or chink. I mean, I've received a lot of racial words, and they just said it just to provoke me, just to be mean. They're kids, right? It is what it is. I also know that my mom also experienced a bunch of racism as well. I remember her coming back home, and she just looked so defeated. And she would express how like people would make fun of her because of her Korean accent. She can speak English very well, but her accent is definitely a Korean accent. Yes, she is first generation Korean, and you just know that, right? So I just remember looking at her, and she just looked so defeated after coming back from work because of the racism that she had to experience. She would work, my family, what it looked like, she would work in the evenings as a waitress for a while at a Chinese restaurant, and my dad worked during the day. And at that time, he worked at a golf course as a mechanic. And so spending time together as an entire family was actually a very rare moment. Usually, since my mom worked in the evenings, and I would get off school around 3:00-ish, and she would have to go to work around 4. So she would just pick me up from school, take me to back home, and I would just wait there until my dad got home, and then I would spend maybe, 15, 20 minutes, and then she had to go to work. And that's how it mostly looked like. And then evening time, how it looked like being with my dad was that we would just spend there together, watching TV together and eating dinner together. And can I just say, when we're eating dinner together, we didn't own an American table, okay? No, we owned a Korean table. And let me explain what that looks like. It's like, the legs are like about 1.5 foot in length. Maybe 1 foot in length, right? From the ground to the top of the table, it's just 1 foot, enough to barely stick your legs in, okay? And if you're a big dude like my dad, no, it was not working. So for me, I was on the floor, Indian style, with this 1 foot table. My dad, at the time, he could not do an Indian style. He had to move his legs he is not bending those legs, thinking oh my God, this is what we're doing. Right? So his legs are trying to sit down on the floor while he cooked me dinner, and then we would eat on this Korean table, and we would sit there in front of the TV, and we would just be chilling, watching TV, and most of the time it was the news. And after the news was over, it could be cartoons, or it could be, some action movie, because he was super into action movies, aliens, sci-fi action movie kind of stuff, which I still love today, or Star Wars, or, those movies, all those cool movies, right? Sci-fi-ish kind of action-y. So that was what my day-to-day looked like with my parents, believe it or not. But can I just say, during that time when at home, I felt safe when it came to my race and who I was. My dad has always been, being in the military. He was in the military, did his 20 years in the Air Force. With him, and then traveling everywhere. My dad's super open to culture. He was never there's some people who are not so open to culture, but my dad always embraced culture. So when he would be stationed at different places, he embraced the culture. He respected the culture. And, sometimes people would make fun of the culture, even in the military. They would go from different places and make fun of it. But my dad's mindset wasn't like that. It was really cool to see how he would embrace it, how he would eat the food, how he would adapt to it. So in my own personal home, I didn't really understand what racism was. I just thought, hey, we're just two different people, two people that fell in love with each other from different places of the planet, right? And so when I started, in junior high-ish and having people say these things, I was like, what is this? This is weird, I didn't really understand really what racism was. And at the moment, I just kind of felt a little bit different. I'm like, what? This is so weird. It's like that. And then I just realized, as I was feeling a little different, my belief system about myself started to slowly shape how I saw myself, So by junior high, I had already made a decision, especially when someone I knew actually started yelling out racial slurs to me. And I think that was a moment where I really shifted, and I was like, you know what? If Asian made me feel different, not accepted, maybe I can hide me being Asian, right? Because I am half white. So I figured I would dye my hair blonde. I wore blue contacts. I thought if I look more like, a white person, a Caucasian person, I would finally feel accepted, right? And I was hoping that if I did that, no one could tell that I was half Asian. Because have you ever seen those people? They're like fully white, but I don't know. They just have a little slant, but they claim that they're full white. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I could do that, right? Yeah. No, I can be honest. Looking back, that actually breaks my dang heart. Because can I say, being that little girl, I erased a part of myself. And let's take it a step further. That opened the door of where I started to deal with my identity and feeling very insecure who I was. And can I just say, it made it worse when the boys came in junior high. Oh, dang, in junior high, yes. And then when the girls came in, and then we started comparing ourselves to each other. Oh, man, is this bringing up some memories with you guys? Oh, and can I say, women can be very vicious. So at the time, the girls would, at that point, look at each other. We would compare each other. If we felt like, the moment I felt like I didn't measure up, is the moment where insecurity even went deeper inside of me. And can I just say this, when I was in junior high and high school and most of college, I had severe acne. Like really, really, really bad. Okay. I mean, to the point where, at times you could still see the acne scars. I hate admitting it, but with the lighting, you definitely can see it at times. Okay. But my acne was so bad. Not only that, but my teeth were so dang crooked. I mean, they were very crooked before I had braces. I would have kids call me vampire teeth because these front two teeth would stick out like vampires. And so people would be like, the kids would make fun and be like, oh, your teeth look like vampire teeth. And as a kid who is still learning and trying to figure out who they are, words do matter and they do hurt. Not only that, but the insecurity also got deeper. I've dealt with so many different insecurity issues. Okay. I mean, I was not only being insecure made me super shy, but let me tell you what really made me insecure. My flat chest. I was so insecure. See, my flat chest, I will say I developed very, very slowly. Okay. Very slowly. I was in training bra until I was, after high school. College. See, very slow. And I started wearing regular, like A cup size coming out of training bra when I was in college. Okay. That's how slow I was. And during that time, I was so insecure. I would never wear a bra that was not padded. And when I'm talking about padded, I'm talking about damn padded, like thick, made me look a little bit more voluptuous. Okay. Those nice gel push-up bras that I tried to make something push up, but the reality is, yeah, you cannot push up something that looks like mosquito bites. Dang. But that's okay. Anyways, I did wear them and it did make me feel like I looked better, right? As long as no one ever saw me naked. But on the outside, I wanted to look more acceptable, maybe even look a little bit more beautiful. But can I just say this? In the underneath of all that, I felt so insecure. I wasn't popular in school. I felt more like definitely an outsider. And can I say what's interesting is that when I was younger, I was very outgoing. I mean, I was talkative. I was so social. But when life comes and hits you and brings things, insecurity comes in and shrinks your personality. And by junior high, that is when I really started to become quieter. Definitely more introverted. Because can I say this? When you feel ugly, you start assuming everyone is judging you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever avoided someone simply because you assumed they were judging you? That's what insecurity does. It isolates you before anyone even rejects you. Yes. Because of the things that you're telling yourself in your mind that no one loves you, no one likes you, no one wants to be your friend. You know, you're weird, you're awkward. Like, just push you away from everyone so that you don't affect anyone else. I mean, come on. That voice is an ugly voice. But can I say this? Looking back now, I realize something. I realized I wasn't craving for beauty. I was craving for acceptance. I just wanted to feel belonged. Now, can I say this? Fast forward a few years later, now that I'm an adult, I'm married, and my husband and I are youth pastors, okay? Our life has revolved around a lot, and mostly around church, working, going out to the gym, watching TV together, grabbing froyo. And if you don't know what that is, can I say froyo is frozen yogurt that we would treat ourselves every once in a while, not all the time because we couldn't afford it that much, but we would do that while we're watching the show Friends. And how many people like the show Friends? Because yeah, we did. That was our fun hangout time. So on the outside, our life looks so stable. But can I get down and raw and real? Financially, we were struggling so bad. I mean, really bad. There were times we didn't know how we were going to pay for rent. And we talk about this all the time on this podcast. And with that financial pressure, which led me into webcamming because, hey, when you're desperate, you are desperate and all you're thinking is, how can I solve my problem to make my life a little bit more easier? And let me tell you, financial pressure is not fun. Now, if you had seen my first night camming, you probably would have laughed your ass off. Oh my God. Can I just tell you this? I was incredibly shy. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. People in the chat were using terminology I did not understand, and I kept thinking, this is not me. But can I just say something unexpected started happening? It was so weird. People started complimenting me over and over again. Like, you're beautiful, you're perfect, but yeah, they would say you're perfect. Now, here's the interesting thing. Every time someone said that word, perfect, I felt so angry, right? any other person would be like, well, that's such a compliment. Why would you take it as a negative form? You should be honored that someone thinks you're perfect, right? Yeah, make sure you listen to some of the past podcast, because perfect is one of those words that definitely I can say rubbed me the wrong way. So this word perfect, man, that word, can I just say, has followed me everywhere. It has been in my entire life. So growing up in church, I always felt like I had to be perfect. Having an Asian mom, I felt like you have to be perfect. Every time I failed, I felt like something bad would happen to me. So hearing strangers call me perfect, can I just say, didn't feel good. It felt like pressure, a pressure that I did not want to keep living my expectations to, right? So hearing them call me beautiful actually did something different for me than the word perfect. At first, I didn't believe them. I was like, they're just saying it, whatever. And then I thought, okay, they're just being nice, whatever. But after hearing it over and over again for weeks, I don't know, something started shifting inside of me. I was like, wow, maybe people think I'm actually beautiful. Like I grew up, being made fun of because of my acne, because of my teeth, because of my small tits. Well, I still do every once in a while, but no big deal. All these things. And so I truly believed inside that, hey, I am not beautiful. I'm far from it. No one thinks I'm beautiful. So being a webcam model and hearing a lot of people say, wow, you are beautiful. It just like, what? Are you guys lying to me? This is not real. So it was interesting because it was like for the first time, I was starting to feel confident in who I was. And I kind of feel like that was kind of irony. The place where people later judged me the most was a place where my self-esteem first began its healing, right? But then let me tell you, one night something happened that forced me to confront my biggest insecurities directly, okay? Let's talk about this. I was live streaming from my bed and I was talking to a viewer, and eventually I asked the question every cam girl does because they're trying to make their dough, okay? This is what we do. And the question is, hey, do you want a private show? And let me explain what a private is. A private is, in a webcam term, is that you are in your bedroom, safe behind the computer. That person is in their house, in their bedroom, safe behind their computer. The only way of communication is through internet, right? So everyone's safe. No one's near each other. And when someone wants a private, then they click, the private button on the site. And that's when you get the one-on-one personal attention with the model, right? And you can do whatever you want. It could be straight masturbation, or it could just be talking. I remember this one time someone was like, you know what? I just want to watch you sleep. I'm like, I like you. Let me go to sleep and take a nap while you pay me money. I like you very, very much. We should do more of this. Anyways, so break it down. Here I am. I'm talking to a viewer, right? We're getting to know each other. And I'm like, hey, thinking that we're getting along. I'm like, hey, do you want a private? And the person says, no offense, but I don't like women with small tits. Let me tell you, my biggest fear as a webcam model was someone commenting on my small tits, right? Because I've always been ashamed of them. I've always hid behind them. I was terrified to the point where I would have people, I was just so fearful about anyone saying anything about my small tits. And that moment, I bursted out for the first time online, bawling my eyes out. I'm talking about bad tears, ugly tears, makeup all ruined. It was just so, you're like, what the hell? What? Look at you. It was ugly, okay? That's what happened at that moment, because the moment this person, he or she, I don't know, I think it was a dude, was like, you made that comment. It was a moment my biggest fear actually happened. The very thing that I feared pretty much all my life, for some reason, having small tits was one of my biggest insecurities. I've dealt with acne, I've dealt with bad teeth, but I guess it's because I thought I could hide it. But when you're webcamming, you can't hide anymore. Everything is just real, raw. And there's no hiding, right? But can I just say this? The moment that happened is the moment that something very interesting happened to me. I did cry and bawl my eyes out. It was really bad. But I also experienced freedom at that moment. Because can I say this? Once your worst fear happens, then you realize something. You survived it. And that moment, comments about my body stopped affecting me as much. It was so weird. I was like, I just faced the very thing I was afraid of. And here I am. Life goes on. It was the weirdest thing. I received so much freedom from it. So thank you to that person who said that. All right, lovers, let me pause the story for a quick second. If you're enjoying the podcast so far, make sure you follow the show and leave a rating and review. That actually helps the podcast grow and helps more people discover this beautiful, chaotic little corner of the internet we've created together. And listen, I'm going to start doing something fun. If you leave a review, take a screenshot and send it to me on Instagram. Every month, I'm going to randomly pick one of my lovers and send you something fun. It might be merch. It might be a shout out on the podcast. It might be tickets to a comedy show. Honestly, I haven't decided yet, but surprises are part of the experience. So go follow the podcast, leave a rating and review, screenshot it, send it to me, and you might just get a little love back from me. All right, lovers, now let's get back to the story. The humiliation I experienced online was nothing compared to what happened next, okay? See, one day my husband walked into the bedroom looking so serious. He said he had been receiving phone calls. And at that point, a guest speaker from our church had called him, and he said pretty much, hey, I received this DVD, and on that DVD was me, butt ass naked. So I thought dealing with my small tits was humiliating. But when I heard that was more humiliating. Pure humiliation, right? Because not only did he receive it, but I soon later found out the entire church received that dang DVD of me butt ass naked. Whoever screen recorded me on the site. Yeah. And people always say, well, what was that person doing on that site? I don't know. But I do believe usually the person who's the loudest is the one who's struggling the worst, right? Anyways, so that was very, very humiliating. That's definitely way worse than my titty humiliation. So, when that happened, we eventually had to tell the congregation, like, hey, please don't open that DVD. You don't want to open that. Some people did, some people didn't. And at that moment, I was so terrified with shame, and I was so humiliated, and I was so embarrassed. Oh, and at that moment, I felt like my entire identity had collapsed. Excuse me. It was quite upsetting. And the thing is, that was very interesting is that there were people in our congregation that were, upset and sad about it. But most of the people in our church were actually more upset because Stephen and I decided to close down the church, and they were more sad because they were going to be losing the family, the bond that we had together. And I just remember that. But we were just so humiliated to keep going forward with the church because, the church sees adult work as definitely not a place where anyone should be, despite the circumstance of not being able to survive, And so I remember that time, and my husband we had a worship leader who showed so much grace, and he was able to go, he was a worship leader from another church, and he was able to pretty much sit down our congregation and explain to everyone, hey, this is what's going on. This is what happened. This is the truth. And now we're going to close the church. And pretty much he invited our church to, pretty much go to his. And this worship leader definitely was by our side and, took care of us. We were so humiliated, I can say. Yeah. And, shutting down the church, I really felt broken. I felt so broken. Because I felt like my husband and we moved to San Diego just for ministry. Like that was our call. That was our vision. I mean, when your vision and what your purpose, when it feels like it's gone and you're done with, that really tears up a person, where your life feels like, what's the meaning of life, And I quickly went into a very, very dark season of my life. I mean, what it looked like for my daily routine almost became nothing. I mean, I just remember I would wake up, brush my teeth if I had the energy, use the bathroom if I had to, and I would lay in bed, and I would only get up if I had to eat, and then I would go back to bed. And I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to do anything, nothing. I mean, it was horrible. Anytime people called, I ignored it. I ignored messages, Facebook Messenger, any form of contact. I avoided everyone. I was so humiliated. And I feel like shame makes you enter into a place where you feel like you have to disappear. The thought that kept repeating in my head was very simple. Like, I just kept thinking, like, I failed everyone. I failed the church. I failed my purpose. And worst of all, I felt like I disappointed God. And I remember during that dark season, I mean, my husband, Stephen, kept encouraging me. He kept pushing me. He kept telling me everything was going to get better. Everything was going to be good. And that things were going to start working out, right? And one day I remember laying in bed because I did not have the motivation to do anything. So for weeks, I just laid in bed, and that was not good because we needed to pay for the roof over our head, because I was no longer webcamming, which was the very thing that was helping us pay for the roof over our head. And I just remember, well, Stephen got another job and he was working for this, this real estate sales company thing. And I remember he called me and he said that one of his coworkers right next to him had this picture frame, and this picture frame said, "How are you making your wife's dream come true today?" And he said he looked at that and something made him think, and he said, "I remember you've always dreamed about getting into modeling." And I remember he said that. And when he said that, I was like, okay. And he said, get up, get dressed, because you have an audition tonight to go to a modeling school. And, I want to help you fulfill your dream. I remember that so clearly. I remember that's the first time that I ever felt hope again. That was a moment when I felt like, okay, I can live. There's a purpose for me to live again, right? I just remember at that moment that I was like, okay, I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to get ready and I'm going to try to look pretty, even though inside I don't feel very pretty. And that was the beginning of my turning point. And I remember walking in and I remember there was like kids there. There were teenagers, high schoolers. I mean, I was probably about maybe 24-ish when all this came about. So I was a bit older than everyone else, but still somewhat young. I remember walking in, and because I was going through so much, I was extremely shy, like so shy that my runway coach thought that it was going to be impossible to work with me, right? Because that's how shy he thought I was. And he was like this gay, exuberant runway coach. And all I can say is he played a big factor in my life, because even though, yes, my husband took me there, but this man helped. And he said he would describe me as like, I thought you were a flower that would never blossom, but you blossom so beautifully by the end of the class, right? And the truth is, he did impact my life. I was in the darkest moment of my life where I didn't want to live anymore. And his classes started to make me feel like I had purpose and that I was beautiful again. Because it was a lie. It was a struggle that I never thought that I never thought I was really beautiful, right? That's the truth. And so I remember when I walked in, there were like the wooden floors everywhere, and there was the runway, and there's kids everywhere. They were so confident and exuberant, and definitely had way more experience than me. And here I am, this shy 24-ish year old girl or woman. And I definitely felt out of place. But I will say, when I started practicing walking on that runway, something definitely changed inside of me. I started to walk and I started to feel more confident in myself. And I felt good in walking in heels, baby, because I did not really walk in heels that much. And that moment helped rebuild something inside of me. It was my belief that life still had purpose. And looking back now, I realized something so important. Shame, can I just say this? Shame tries to convince you that your story is over. But can I say this? Shame is a damn liar. See, my faith actually grew stronger during this season. Oh man, prayer played also a huge role in helping me survive those dark days. I know some of us are like, oh man, I don't want to talk about that, but the truth is also prayer did too. And I believe God was teaching me something very simple in that season. I believe he was also, even though I got caught in all this horror, like my life just fell broken and I was in my darkest times, that in that season, I also felt like God was speaking to me saying, like, just trust me. Even when life doesn't make sense, just trust me. Even when everything's falling apart, just trust me. I just really felt that. And that really kept me going too. See, can I just say this? My Korean values that helped shape my upbringing a lot. And the fact that just those traits of like, keep going, don't stop, work hard, be integritous, be prayerful, and keep moving forward. Those are definitely my Korean value roots that stuck inside of me. And I want to say thank you to my mom for giving me that because those values helped me keep pressing forward even when life became very, very difficult. Whew. So today people often misunderstand my story. They think my life has been easy, but the truth is my life has been full of struggles. Oh my God. And if there's one thing I want people to understand about shame is this. Shame is not a place where you are meant to live. Can I say that? Yes, we all make mistakes. And we are going to make mistakes that will never stop us because we're human. And that is just how life is, okay? But I want you to know that mistakes are not your identity. You are capable of change. You are capable of growth, and you are capable of becoming better. So, can I just say this? If you feel ugly or insecure, hear this clearly. You are beautiful. Do not let the lies in your mind convince you otherwise. Can I just say that again? And if you feel like your life is ruined, I'm going to say this loud and proud. That is a damn lie. Okay? That is a lie. If your life may feel hopeless right now, but if you keep moving forward, can I just say this? Things will change. And if I could speak to the younger version of myself in Yuba City today, that little small town, you know what I would tell her? I would tell her something very simple. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to let go and keep moving forward because your story is not over. That's what I would say to myself. And for you who may be feeling like giving up, just know your story is not over. Bye. All right, lovers, before I end it here, remember this. Whether you love me or love to hate me, you're still one of my lovers. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another lover in your life. And remember, lovers, you're never alone in this bed. I'll see you next time in bed with Christy Love. And Jesus loves you, so do I.